Hello everyone, this is FantasyEsque and welcome back to the Sims 4 Vampire Amazon Royal Saga with the Salazar Coven. We are picking up with the Dragon Twins and Lagatha Dravage after the discovery of Meredith's kidnapping. So, let us dive in to what has been happening. In the movie, we saw that Meredith once again snuck out to meet with Ethel, and this was actually the second time that she snuck out to do that. And well, to be honest, we don't know if that was the second time or she's been doing it many other times in between. Anyways, we saw the first time and we saw this time around as well. She met up with Ethel in their usual spot, and it seems as though they have become quite close, and she was really comfortable around him, and he wasn't sure that she was going to sneak off to meet him again, but she said, well, it's such a good opportunity. This is when the castle is, empty. There's no one there except for my sister and my cousins. Everyone else have left, which is stupid, but she, being her naive self with someone that she is enraptured with at present, revealed that information, and Ethel got that bit of confidence to do what really I think he's been planning to do all along. No doubt he's been updating Prince Voldemort about his rendezvous with Meredith. So when he felt as though the coast was clear, he knocked out Meredith and took her back to their camp. So, yep, and Meredith had no clue. She was not suspecting it at all, which, to be honest, I feel like she should have been way more careful, because they are the visitants, they are the enemy race at present. You shouldn't be that cozy around them, especially not in an area where there are camps nearby. But I think she figured her little fascination with Ethel went both ways, and that because she was interested in him, he would be interested in her, and that their meetings had nothing to do with this war between their races, is what I think she was hoping. So obviously she dismissed the danger, otherwise she would have at least told someone, which she did not. But she got taken, and Prince Voldemort now has Meredith, as he wanted all along. Ethel was quite happy to be of service to his prince, and Prince Voldemort did get the others to send a letter to the castle explaining the terms of Meredith's capture. And essentially what he's done is, yes, they've been engaged in this Cold War of sorts for a while now, but he's declared open war, right? He's called the Salazars to battle at a place of his choosing with Meredith as the prize. So there is no way to avoid this any longer. Like Guinevere said in the previous episode, patrols aren't really going to help that long. Now that they have Meredith, these guys have no choice but to fight the visitants. That's what the visitants want, and it's completely unavoidable. Now Meredith's life is on the line, so they kind of have to. So that's the freaky stuff been going on in the movie of this episode. Now these guys, they're the only ones here right now. The others, they're gone. They're off. And they're supposed to be gone for today and then tomorrow. And these three, they were definitely quite freaked out. Now Meredith, she was completely taken aback by this letter. She was not expecting it in the slightest, and she's very much freaking out. Her sister's been taken. Catherine was also freaking out, and she had no clue what to do. I feel like Catherine is very much able to, study theories and deal with what-ifs, but, especially because, yes, they're immortals, but they're still quite young. Things are happening in the moment. She is kind of out of her element and not sure how to deal with it. And Elaine typically is quite calm, and she doesn't let her annoyance of anything or her irritation show, but because of the situation they're in and how serious it is, I think some of that broke through this time around, because she was very upset at Lagertha. She was a bit angry at Lagertha, saying you should have known, or been keeping track of your sister's whereabouts. So she was not impressed, but out of the three of them, Elaine was the one who jumped in and kind of decided what had to be done. She's the one who made a plan about what had to be done. So she said, they have to notify the Queen immediately, that they need to return from the Autumn Caravan, because the visitants have just called them to battle with Meredith as a prize. So she's kind of doing that. Now these guys, they are trying to be positive. They're trying their best to not have a meltdown. But Lagertha, they all kind of feel a little bit differently about a few things. So Lagertha does not feel as though they should abandon the castle and go to Oasis Springs where the soldiers are and take action before the queen and the rest of the court arrive. Even though I feel like every fiber of her being is telling her to do that because her sister's in danger, she does not feel as though that is necessarily the wise course of action. But she cannot sit still. She wants to go to where her sister disappeared near the visitant camp, and she wants to investigate what might have happened, right? Piece together the story that she hasn't been a part of. Now, Catherine feels much safer just hunkering down in the castle and staying here. She feels as though they should all stick together and they should all stay at the castle and defend the castle and not kind of step outside until reinforcements come. She doesn't feel as though they should be putting themselves in danger for any of that. The staying within the walls of this place makes her feel much, much better than going out and wandering somewhere, that they probably shouldn't be in. So she wants to stay here. Now, Elaine, she is of a mixed opinion. So she definitely feels as though they do need some sort of reinforcements. They need some sort of soldiers and some sort of assistance because it is just them three. What are they going to do with the three of them, right? But she also does not believe they should abandon the castle and go to Oasis Springs because they were left to defend the castle, and this is the seat of the Empire currently. So she is very much of the mind that the castle should be defended. She also feels as though Lagatha should not be going out on her own, lest, she be captured as well. She should have someone with her to make sure they don't get caught in any sort of trap. So Elaine, kind of being the more decisive one, the more strategic one, I feel, she is proposing to the others that, and yes, they're laughing at the ridiculousness of their situation, and I think it's more of a freak-out laugh than anything else. But she is proposing to them that Catherine stay at the castle and defend the castle, right? Nobody needs to know that Catherine is here by herself, but she's going to stay and defend the castle, especially because the visitants are expecting a war right now. They're not going to march here, of course. They wouldn't want to change kind of the place of their battle because we know this place, we have an advantage here, whereas they're probably going to pick some place they have scouted out on their own. So they're not going to march to the castle, that's for sure. Catherine should remain behind and take care of things here. Elaine is proposing that she and Lagatha head to Castle Narkissa in Burlington Bay, which is, the fort they have there. That way, they can get reinforcements from two of the soldiers that are stationed there. And they can, with the soldiers' help, go and investigate the place where Meredith disappeared. Now, in case you guys are wondering how, they'd be able to find out where Meredith disappeared, it's not like those details would have been in the letter. Well, I like to think that twin vampires have this ability where they can sense each other's vampiric essence. So the dragons, they would be able to feel the essence left behind by this, the other twin. And so the same goes for Lagatha. Elaine might not be able to sense it, but Lagatha, if she's going there, she'll be able to kind of trace where her sister went. She'll be able to feel bits of her sister's essence in certain places. So Lagatha is going to be the one, leading the tracking. But I think Elaine is the one with the smarts to actually piece together what might have happened. And she's the one kind of directing this. So what they're going to do, these guys, Elaine and Lagatha are going to come up to the alchemist's store, her storage area, and then they're going to take, they're going to take some of these potions of plentiful needs because they will be out in the sun. It is the daytime. So I think they're going to take some of this and they are going to make sure that they are stocked up, and then I think they might as well take another one for their soldiers, the ones that are stationed there and are going to be helping them. So once they get that done, they are going to go over to Castle Narcissa in Brindleton Bay. And they're going to strategize. Oh, well, you know, they kind of know their strategy. They're going to go through with whatever it was that Elaine planned. So this is definitely a scary situation because they've been left like all on their own. And they have sent a message to the Queen, but it's going to take a bit for the Queen to come back. Like, it's not as though they'll be able to snap back instantly. They're going to have to travel back, right? With the entire court, everyone that they took with them. So, yep, let's grab that. Let's put this in the inventory. Come on, come on. So for now, they're left to their own devices. But okay, let's catch up with them when they are at Castle Narcissa. Okay, Elaine and Meredith are just... Sorry, Lagatha, not Meredith. Meredith is the captured one. Elaine and Lagatha are showing up at Castle Narcissa, and they're going to greet these two. So the soldiers stationed here are Ray and Dylan Salazar. So the triplet brothers who lost one of their triplets a while back. Cody Salazar, he's the one who died. But if I'm not mistaken, they are brothers of the Queen. I am fairly certain they are related to the Queen. Hold on a second. Let's trace back and figure this out. This way, yep. So, Cody is the brother who died, the same time that Major died. But they are brothers to the Queen. So yeah. They've been stationed over here. And Elaine is going to discuss the problem with them, and you know, so is Meredith, I think. Let's see. Let's go and yeah, brood about your situation right now. So yeah, they're gonna discuss what has happened, and yep, the fact that they need to be freaking out right now. But Meredith's been captured. The Queen is going to take a while to come back, even though they've sent a message. So these two, they would like Ray and Dylan's help to investigate the nearby area, so that they can try and figure out what happened to Meredith and, you know, how she was captured. They can't figure out how she was captured. So, or like under what circumstance that might have happened. So, everyone here is going to get into a group. Right. Together. And we need to keep track of everyone's needs so that nobody burns to death, because it is the day. So this is dangerous. This is very, very dangerous for them to be going out on their own. But Lagatha, she kind of has an idea where she can sense her sister's essence. So she is gonna go right there. And she can feel her sister's essence, like in this general area. So they are gonna head there together. And then we shall see what they can come up with. My goodness. My goodness. I feel like everyone's, at least Lagatha is, they're kind of in the dark right now. Like, she cannot make heads or tails of how the heck this even happened. There was, like, no hint for her. Okay, these guys are here investigating this area together. And they have to be very careful because the visiting camp is, like, right there. And I think the first thing that is going to strike Lagatha is how close her sister was to the visitant camp, and she just can't figure out why her sister would be so close to the visitant camp, right? What might have drawn her here? And so they're going to start looking around this area. They're going to start looking around, trying to figure out what's happening, see if they can find traces of what might have happened. And no doubt Lagatha's kind of guiding them that my sister was around here somewhere. So they're going to try and figure out what's happening. Now, while these guys are kind of looking in all sorts of directions, like there's nothing really here. So what, like, there's really nothing here for her to be visiting or looking at, right? The place that they had before, I mean, previously this site was the area where generations ago they had the fairies and the cats, right? But that place was kind of like it deteriorated over time, and then it was like pulled down, right? So there's like nothing here to be visiting, especially to be visiting secretly. I mean, if she told one of them, they would have come with her. So while they're walking around and thinking about what else might have drawn her here, Elaine is going to, and she's going to ask, I think Elaine's going to ask these two. She's going to ask the soldiers here, what can you tell me about the activities of the visitants in this area? Do they stick very closely to their camp, or do they tend to wander around? And these guys, I mean, part of them being stationed at Castle Narcissa is going to be to keep track of enemy movements, right? So they are going to tell Elaine, well, we do have the Elfling Forest nearby. Between this place and the visitant camp, we have the Elfling Forest. So the vampires do tend to come out at night, and they go to the Elfling Forest, but they stick to the camp during the day. They can't risk being out during the day. So then Elaine's gonna think, well, that's odd. And she's gonna ask them if they have seen, you know, Meredith in the area, and the soldiers are gonna tell her, well, no, we haven't really seen Meredith in the area. And then Elaine's gonna think, now the thing with Elaine, guys, Elaine, she notices things, right? She's very aware of things, and she notices things. So even though everyone else at the castle haven't been paying attention to where Meredith has been going, Elaine knows that Meredith has been sneaking out. She's seen Meredith sneaking out, but she never felt as though it was her business to be bothered with where Meredith was going or what she was doing. It was of no interest to her. She didn't really care about it, but she knew of it. She didn't care about it. Now, obviously, she doesn't feel as though it was her responsibility to keep track of Meredith's movements. She feels like, as her sister, Lagatha should have been the one to do that. Meredith is not her responsibility, right? But when the soldiers are telling her that the vampires only come out at night, Elaine's going to feel as though that's odd because Meredith has been going missing during the day, right? She hasn't been sneaking out at night. She's been sneaking out during the day, or like the early hours of the morning, when the vampires should be wandering around. So she's going to ask them again, is there any other movements happening in the day? And they're going to think about it, and they're going to say, well, actually, we have on occasion seen the visitant warlock making trips outside of the camp during the day, and he has no reason really to be going to the Elfling Forest because he's not a vampire, so he doesn't require blood, so he wouldn't be there for that. And it wouldn't make sense to send him out scouting, right? Because she's thinking this. She's trying to think through it. She's thinking it wouldn't make sense to send him out scouting because he is not a soldier. He's not a soldier. So then Lagatha is wondering, well, does that mean that Ethel was here, right? Ethel was coming to this spot. And if so, then why was he coming to this spot? Well, maybe if Meredith, and she knows his sister, so I feel as though Lagatha would kind of come to the conclusion that maybe Meredith was curious about the visitants, so she came here, and the warlock kind of found out that she was here, which is why the warlock might have been snooping around this area. So that's the conclusion that Lagatha is coming to. But she doesn't understand how her sister was so easily captured. Like, surely, if he was spying on Meredith would have been aware, right? So how was he captured? And this is where Elaine is going to propose something different, right? She's going to say that Meredith wasn't snooping around and Ethel wasn't spying on Meredith. Meredith came here to see Ethel. She came here to meet Ethel, and Ethel came here to meet Meredith. That's really the only explanation for what the two of them would have been doing in this area. And Lagatha's kind of laughing it off. She doesn't really believe that might be the case. There's no way her sister would be interested in, a foreign, a visitant warlock. But Elaine, she's not buying it. She's saying that is the only reasonable explanation. And then she's going to tell Lagatha, well, how do you explain, right? How do you explain Meredith being captured so easily, even if she was by herself? Lagatha is a prime vampire, and so is her sister. I mean, they're very close to becoming masters in their own right. Elaine's just a minor vampire, and so is Catherine, but the Dravagers, they've been practicing their vampiric abilities for way longer, so they are quite strong, so there's no way a warlock, right, a warlock would have been able to take out. And look, we have a random citizen of the Empire walking around, maybe trying to figure out what's happening, or maybe curious about why the Salazar soldiers in the area. But Elaine is saying, how do you explain a warlock being able to take down a vampire? The only explanation is that they knew each other, and Meredith had her guard down. She was here to see that warlock, and that is why she had her guard down. She was not on the defensive at all. This was a secret rendezvous, and she never told anyone about it, so obviously she was doing something she wasn't supposed to. Even if the adults, the older generation, wouldn't have agreed, if Meredith had told Lagatha or her cousins that she was going to snoop around here, the youngsters wouldn't have ratted each other out. They wouldn't have thought that anything was wrong with that. They would have maybe even accompanied her to see what's going on in the area, but that wasn't the case. So Elaine is going to say, think what you want, but she came here to do something she wasn't supposed to, something none of us would have agreed with, and that was to see Ethel, right? She and Ethel were having a secret rendezvous here. And definitely Ray and Dylan are much more worried about this now. So that's what Elaine is going to be able to piece together, and she's going to say, well, the last time they rendezvoused, obviously, that's when Ethel made his move and captured her. He must have had help from other, the visitant gods. He must have had help from them to knock her out, or he must have used magic with their support and taken her back to the camp. So there is nothing that can be done right now, but Elaine's figured, okay, that's what has happened. Meredith did something she shouldn't have done, and now they're all facing, suffering the consequences of that. She made herself an easy target, and now she's kind of a leverage for the visitants, and it's not like the Salazars can leave her behind. So, yeah, Lagatha is quite upset by this. I think, they've done the investigation. Dylan is saying we should return to the fort. It's not, it's getting dark. You don't want to stick around here because that's when the visitant vampires are going to be moving between this area. That's when they're going to head to the forest. So these guys, they need to head back to the fort. And they're probably going to, from there, return to Castle Aphrodite. And they will be waiting for the queen to return with the entourage so that they can start coming up with a battle plan. So that's going to go down. And Elaine, I think, firmly believes that Meredith needs to be punished. She has to face some sort of consequence once she's rescued. But there's more of the mind that, now that she's captured, there's no point to talking about this or worrying about this. The most important thing is to get her back safe and sound. So, okay guys, that's where we're at. It's 8:30 a.m. on Saturday. The Queen has returned a day early from her trip at the Autumn Caravan, and now Lagtha, as the eldest one among the youngsters left behind, is reporting what has happened to the Queen. She's already presented the Queen with the letters and the investigation they had, or like the best they could piece together as to what might have happened. I think Lagtha is trying to downplay her sister's role in all of this, but Elaine is gonna be very quick to kind of step up and add in some details that Lagtha might have left out, like the fact that Meredith hasn't really been spending time with them a lot recently, and they haven't been paying attention to Meredith's whereabouts, so this must have been something that she's been doing quite frequently of late. And Elaine's smart. She's not going to tell them that she knows Meredith has been sneaking out and she hasn't said anything, because then Elaine would get in trouble for not bringing it up. She's just going to say she knows Meredith hasn't been spending a lot of time with them, and that nobody's been keeping track of her whereabouts, so it must have been something that she's been doing a fair bit. And then she's gonna, say that Meredith, with the ability that she has, should have been able to defend herself, or at least struggle, but there was no signs of a struggle in the place they were at. She was completely caught off guard, and according to the investigation and talk with the soldiers there, that's not an area that the vampires frequent in the time that Meredith would have been there. That's kind of when if anything, the soldiers have noticed the warlock frequenting that spot, and it's been kind of like a recent thing. So she was meeting up with the warlock, and she obviously had her guard down, which means it would have been some sort of romantic rendezvous, something these guys would never approved of. And she got captured as a result. Now, they don't really have a choice. They're being called to war, right? And Guinevere is finding this absolutely hilarious, right? Everyone's having a bit of a laugh right now about how silly a situation they're in. But I think it is so serious and so freaky for everyone that all they can do is kind of laugh at it, unless they kind of fall apart. But the Queen is going to tell Lagtha and such to take a seat, and this is where Guinevere is going to step up, and Guinevere is going to emphasize the fact that they, could not have avoided open war and actual battle any longer. And the Queen's not happy about this, but Guinevere very much is, because it just proves that the point she was trying to make during the Autumn Caravan is a valid one, and that she has the foresight for these kind of things, right? Over really Eden, because Eden's supposed strategy that that Yuki presented, Yuki, not her mother, that Yuki presented with Eden hunkering down, defending the borders in the castle, that isn't going to work in this situation. Defending the castle isn't going to get Meredith back. They have to go out there, they have to fight the visitants, and they have to win the battle to get her back. So, in this situation, and everyone's kind of seeing it, right? Everyone's seeing it, especially like the Queen at this point. Saphira, Yuki, we already know they're in support of Guinevere, and this is kind of validating that for them even more so. That Eden, she's kind of in the background, Eden, very childlike. She doesn't really know what to do in this situation. It's not something she's thought about, and she's kind of just happy for her mother to take the decision, and she's going to follow whatever course of action the Queen takes, whereas Guinevere is the one who's helping to guide that decision. She is taking a much more active role in all of this. Guinevere is definitely going to champion that. And then she's gonna take a seat, and now everyone is gonna discuss what needs to be done. And essentially, they are aware of the fact that the visitants, they are calling these guys to battle at a specific location, right? And that location is definitely going to be like an in-between ground for everyone. In fact, the visitants want to battle it out with these guys at the place where they had that exchange between the prisoners. So when the Ranarain boys were traded for the Warlock, they went to that they went to a clearing, I think. There was a clearing between the visitant camp and the Salza fort, the Castle Narkissa, and that's where the soldiers were at the bottom, and then these guys, they exchanged prisoners, and the visitants have chosen that location as the place of battle. So these guys, they know when they're supposed to be going there, and at this point, everyone is going to go. So the alchemist needs to get her potions ready. The alchemist actually is going to duel. So rather than potions, really, she's going to be dueling. Sophia is going to duel with Ethel. And then the others, everyone will be going, and they will be battling it out with every one of those visitants there. So the queen, she's going to take on Prince Voldemort, and then Saphira and Yuki, they're going to be taking on the captains, so Trista and Shello. Obviously, because Saphira is the champion, and Yuki is the hero of the Empire, because she won the Royal Tournament. And finally, in the previous episode, I was saying how Yuki's the more peaceful one. She doesn't really want to engage in violence, and yet she is the strongest of Empirists, apart from the Queen, right? I think apart from the Queen is a higher rank than her, but she is the strongest. She's stronger than even the champion. So they're definitely going to be wary of her. So it makes sense for these two. And especially because they're Queen's counselors, it makes sense for them to take on the captains. And then the rest of the ladies, they're going to be fighting the gods. So Galaxia, she is going to be battling one of the, I think maybe the Zima brothers, like Sauron, and I can't remember his brother's name, but the blue-eyed blonde gods. She might be battling one of them. Lagatha is probably going to take on the other brother, one of the Zima brothers. So Lagatha and Galaxia together, they're probably going to take on those brothers. The princesses are going to take on, actually, the princesses, I think, might take on there's a bunch of other, like, yellow-eyed blonde gods. They might take them on. Catherine and Elaine together might take on the attendant, so the prince's attendant. So, yeah, certain vampiresses, they'll be fighting one-on-one, depending on the numbers. Other vampiresses, they might double up to fight some of them, and especially because Catherine and Elaine, actually, they are one of the lowest ranking vampires. I think they are the lowest ranking vampires, so it probably wouldn't be wise for them to go on a one-on-one battle. They might take on some of those enemies together, right? So that is kind of the plan that is being discussed here, like who is going to take on who at what point. And now that the Queen has decided that, she's going to let everyone make the last minute preparations. She's going to let everyone do the last bit of training that they can before they're ready to head to battle. So that's what we're going to do for the remainder of this episode, is going to be those last minute arrangements. So Sophia, let's see, I think, hold on a second. I mean, Sophia is quite powerful. She's a virtuoso. she is quite powerful in her own right. So there is that. There is that for sure. And what's this? Yeah, we'll do that. That feels useful. Spectral reach. So we'll do that. And we'll let her kind of ease up. She might do some experimenting just because I feel like that kind of helps with getting some more of your abilities up. Actually, not emotional stability. Let's drink some plentiful needs, and then I'm going to get her to do some experimenting. I feel like that's going to be good for this, like getting her knowledge up. So she's going to do that. The rest of these ladies, they are going to dive into training. So let's bring them up here. They're going to dive into some commando training for sure. Right, you guys, let's come here. This is like really, really important. And then the youngsters, they are going to be focusing more on, again, the vampiric abilities. So, okay, you guys can actually read the 3rd volume. You can also read, do we need, I think we might need like the 3rd volume ones for these guys. Yep, so we'll purchase like 6. Yep, there we go. Let's split this up among the others. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll put one, like we'll leave one here for when Meredith hopefully has returned to us. Okay, these guys, let's dive into our reading. Let's go ahead and do that. Final bit of theory for you guys before you have to fight. And it's kind of scary. So the way it's most likely going to work is that everyone I said who's going to fight each other, they're going to have a one-on-one spar. And essentially, whichever side has more wins, they're going to win that battle. So if these guys, if they have more losses than wins, they will lose the battle, and most likely the visitants will get to they'll keep Meredith. And then, they'll have to obviously retreat weakened. But if the visitants lose more battles, then obviously these guys, they get Meredith back, they win. They win the war. So that's what's going to happen essentially. This is like the old deciding factor, because the thing is, they don't have enough numbers to hold several battles, especially for the like visitants. They don't have enough numbers to hold multiple battles. If they do lose, then they will probably lose so badly that they won't be able to recover from that, and there'll be no point continuing the war. So this is really the thing that's going to be the old deciding factor of whether or not this continues. So it is very, very serious. But obviously they can't take the visitants for a joke, because, our soldiers fought the Ranarain brothers. They fought the visitants in the beginning, and they lost very badly. So the visitants, they are strong in their own right. They are strong in their own right. And I don't remember who has what rank, but they're kind of sporadically all over the place. So really we'll have to see how that goes for sure. But okay, let me see. The powers. Right, we can start working on some of the sun resistance for Princess Eden, which is good. Oh, this is good. See, she only needs like... Oh, wait, hold on a second. Really? Did we just... Oh, look at that. Look at that. Right, guys. Guinevere is now ready to go ahead. Sloppy drinker, insatiable thirst. No. Dayphobia or guilty drinker? She's not really a guilty drinker. The cattle. Maybe she'd be a sloppy drinker. I can imagine that. Or like fitful sleep. You know what? We'll go with that, because they don't really spend a lot of time sleeping anyways. But yeah, guys, oh my goodness. Guinevere now, she can start sparring with the champion. And once she wins against the champion, she will also be ready to challenge the queen should her sister lose. So there is that. But obviously, because we're worried more about the war, that's going to have to happen after we finish the war. After this battle happens, then we'll have time for that to be a thing. But for now, Guinevere is like ready as can be, but she's going to have to take all that energy and she's going to have to apply it to the fight they're about to take part in. So, okay guys, with that said and done, I'm going to leave off. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.